all the flavors for everything to that strawberry milkshake that you're getting at McDonald's. They're all coming from these chemical companies where these chemists sit in laboratories and they just tinker around with molecules. So they mimic flavors, but there's not actually real flavors. If it was, say, a real strawberry milkshake and you looked at the label, it would have on the ingredients strawberries. That's how you make a strawberry milkshake, right? It wouldn't have strawberry flavor or natural and artificial flavors. All of those things are alarm bells that should warn you off that those are full of chemicals.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us for another amazing episodes of Bioenergetics Beat. I'm Heather Gray, a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and certified bioenergetic practitioner. And today is brought to you by Nikki, Unleash the Wellness Within. It's a non-invasive, easily affordable, highly effective approach to optimize wellness. It's a wearable device that puts frequency better based life in your hands and on your wrist. Make sure to stick to the very end because we have a wonderful giveaway you're not going to want to miss out on. But you're not going to want to miss out on one thing that my next guest has to talk about. She's a personal friend of mine. I've known her for years. She's brilliant. And we're going to have an amazing conversation talking about inflammation and health issues with your life, like all the things like inflammation. It's the key to so many things. It's still a lot of people are talking about it in certain ways. So I'm super excited to have this conversation. Without further ado, let's welcome Elizabeth Yarnell, yay, to the show.
Well, thank you, Heather. I'm excited to be here.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do in medicine, kind of how did you get started talking on this track? Because I know most people who are in this field tend to have a pain to purpose story. And so I'd love to hear, not love to hear, I'd love to hear your pain, but I'd love to hear your pain because this is how people can connect in story, right? They can see themselves and go, oh my gosh, I'm suffering with that too. So I'd love to hear a little bit about yours.
Yes. Well, for me, it all began very suddenly one night in 1999 when I went to sleep as usual and I awoke the next morning blind in my right eye. And in short order, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune degenerative disease that attacks the nervous system and affects how the brain communicates with the body. And that was the beginning of my path. And at that time in 1999, so wow, 27 years ago, this month actually, um, there weren't a lot of options. I was told by my MS doctors that 80% of MS patients experience significant disability within 10 years of diagnosis. So I should just look forward to being in a wheelchair by the time my 40th birthday came around.
Good God, what kind of, it's so sad because they don't know any better, right? They seriously, that's what they thought at the times. And thank God we know better. And thank God, people like you are like, I'm not going to take this lying down, dig deeper, right?
Exactly. I thought, you know what? This is not how I envision my future. And I asked my doctor, I said, well, what if I change my diet? And what if I exercise my body and my brain? And he said, those are all good things, but it's not going to change the trajectory of this disease, multiple sclerosis. We have it pretty well mapped out that you're going to go down this very downhill slope of continually losing abilities until you get to the bottom of the slope where it's basically total system shutdown and you die. And I thought, well, that's not a recipe for despair and depression. I don't know what is.
Good grief. That sucks. So what in your lifestyle, I mean, what contributed to it, you think? Like what was going on in your life right around, that time that you were diagnosed?
So there were a couple of big factors in my own lifestyle that were contributing to what ended up happening to me that I would tip over into an autoimmune condition. Number one probably was my Diet Coke Crystal Light gummy bear lifestyle.
Oh my God.
I was a single gal for my entire decade of my 20s and I lived alone and I either ate fast food or I skipped a meal or I ate at a restaurant, but the only staple foods I kept in my house were Diet Coke, Crystal Light, and gummy bears.
Wow. See, when we hear things like this, like how amazing and brilliant is our body? I mean, yeah, you got an autoimmune disease, but the fact that you were able to stay alive off of Diet Coke, Crystal Light, and gummy bears, like that's pretty impressive.
That is because, of course, all that is NutraSweet or aspartame, high fructose corn syrup, and food dye and artificial flavors. So really, just a toxic stew is what I was living on. And then add to the top of it that I was carrying around a pretty big load of parasites that I picked up when I was 21. And I didn't realize that that was what was going on, that that's why I was having diarrhea every morning or constipation. I really was fluctuating between the two of them. And I kind of just thought that was my normal and really didn't give it much thought. It wasn't debilitating. It didn't feel debilitating to me. I could manage it and I was living with it, I guess. And then in when I was 29, I went to Asia and I did this 2 week horseback trip across the Eastern Tibetan Plateau. And that went all fine up at 14,000 feet, camping out with the horses, all that kind of stuff. That was great. But when we came back down into Chengdu, China, and we went to a 4-star restaurant for a celebratory banquet, we all met. There was about 14 of us. We met at around 6 p.m. for dinner. And by midnight, about 10 of us were worshiping the porcelain god. So
Oh
it
no.
happened. It hit fast. And in fact, several people on that trip like literally had to delay their departure from the city and have an IV rehydration going on for several days. And when I returned back to Colorado and submitted a stool sample to my GI doc and came back positive for 5 parasites.
Oh, fun. You had some freeloaders.
and, and if they find, oh my gosh, if they even find one parasite, it's amazing, because testing for parasites is notorious for false negatives. But they found 5 of them.
Wow.
So a
You
tremendous
little
amount of parasite.
overachiever, you.
I know. I know. So within a couple months is when I had my huge multiple sclerosis attack, where I lost my eyesight. But even before that, in the interim, I had an episode that I didn't recognize what was going on, where I had pins and needles on the fingertips of one of my hands.
Well, it's so sad because we've been so conditioned, right? Like, especially with your diarrhea and constipation, because I was constipated my whole life and never knew it was not a normal thing to not be constipated because I'm seeing commercials on the daily, if you've got heartburn, digestion, a little cute jingle, kind of making it sound like that this is something that everybody deals with. Well, in a sense, yes, because our diet is crap, constantly under stress and chemicals. But it's not, right? Often we say in functional medicine that no matter how common a symptom may be, it is never normal, right? It's your body's check engine light coming on saying, yo, dummy, yeah, pay attention. They say the body speaks in whispers in the beginning and then hits you over the head with a cosmic 2x4 called MS and being blind out of the right eye. So how long after waking up and not being able to see did it take you to kind of try something different and turn things around?
It was actually within the first couple months after my diagnosis when I was digging into the research and starting to really understand how the human body works and how all the systems work together and are interdependent on each other. But it was my then fiance at the time who really suggested to me that maybe my diet might have something to do with what was going on with me. He was a competitive athlete. He was like sixth in the world snowshoer at the time.
Wow.
He was early into the organic scene. Again, this was 1999. He, unlike me, he cooked, which I didn't do at the time. Um, so that really was the beginning of my interest in changing my diet. And so I adopted a mantra that says whole foods are better than processed foods. And I began taking classes and learning, and I actually went back to school and became a traditional naturopath. And I realized that I was feeling and functioning a lot better when I focused on eating whole foods without all of the additives and preservatives and all the really crap that they put into our food supply, especially in the US. And I thought for a long time that, well, this is the secret, that we really just need to stick with whole foods rather than processed foods. And for a long time, I didn't really understand the connection that the parasitic infection had with my symptoms. Now I can see it much more clearly. And in fact, in my clinic, in my work, we have most people go through an herbal parasite purge before they even bother to change their diet.
Oh, that's interesting. Now that totally makes sense because unfortunately the other dogma that we've been under here is, you only get parasites if you leave the country. Granted, yes, you did leave the country, but almost everybody has got an overgrowth of parasites. I grew up in the ranching industry and we would, constantly deworm our pets and our animals, and I really feel like that it should be a common practice for humans, even just twice a year, how much differently we would be responding right now because we just parasites like inflammation aren't necessarily horrible, but when they're out of control, right, which a lot of people do, is when we start having problems. And so, yeah, it's fascinating that that's how you start. That's a great idea.
Well, you just really hit the nail on the head when you said parasites and inflammation in the same sentence, because when the body sees a foreign invader, inflammation is the response. So that inflammation, it was all tied together. The reason there was rampant inflammation that led to an autoimmune disorder was because there were parasites.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is a great spot. We're going to pause real quick for commercial. When we come back, I want to dive deeper into, other forms of hidden inflammation. Where is it coming from and what can we do about it? So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
There's a new word for wellness, Nikki. Nikki is your personal wellness companion, a sleek wearable device that lets you choose from a variety of programs to match your day. With a simple tap on the Nikki screen, you can explore wellness programs created for different moments and lifestyles. Need a lift? Select energy. Looking to unwind? Tap stress and anxiety. Want to feel more at ease? Choose pain. Heading out on a trip? Try travel to help you feel ready for new adventures. From busy mornings to quiet evenings, Nikki puts a variety of wellness experiences right at your fingertips and on your wrist. Life moves fast. Nikki moves with you. It's a portable way to bring wellness technology into your everyday routine, wherever life takes you. Your day, your choice, your wellness program. Nikki Wellness Technology. Delivering frequency enhanced health. We are Nikki.com.
Fantastic. Welcome back. Let's dive in deeper. I love parasites. It's one of my favorite topics. I don't know why. Like when I had my own podcast, the name was Talking to Heather, and it was like tongue in cheek. We were going to talk about things that weren't normally talked about, but I like to talk about coffee enemas and parasites, and because it wasn't until, I took care of my blastocystis hominis, that my life completely
A
changed.
parasite, for those of you who might not be familiar with that word.
Right, that commonly you get from pets. And, I've always grown up with animals, and I would feel like Violet off of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory after I ate because I would just blow up like a balloon, and I didn't know why. And it didn't matter what I ate, and it turned out it was that parasite. And once I took care of that, man, my whole life changed. So it was incredible.
Right. So the goal of a parasite is to find a host and move in, take up residence, and populate and live happily ever after. They're not going to go away on their own. You have to address them directly. And you're absolutely right. They're super easy to pick up, whether or not even you have any contact with animals or travel. You can get them from swimming in a lake or a river or a public swimming pool. Chlorine doesn't kill them all. Every summer, I see on the news reports of a water park that has been contaminated with Giardia. So super, super easy. You can get them from eating sushi, from eating from a salad bar. I picked them up once from a salad bar. You can get them from so many different sources. Really, really easy to get parasites. Walking barefoot on the dirt is one way. You can get them from sitting on a beach. There's just really, it is very easy, much more easy to pick up parasites than we have been led to believe, I'm going to say, by our medical community.
Absolutely, 110%. So what are some other hidden forms of I mean, yeah, that we're not thinking about that can kind of cause inflammation that could be sabotaging your life?
Right. So one of the biggest culprits that I see that nobody really talks about are these things called natural flavors. And if you can see me, I'm using air quotes, natural flavors. Heather knows what they are, right?
I about died when I found out. I was so disgusted. For some of you folks, we're gonna blow the lid off some things, and you're gonna never. You're hopefully you're gonna start reading labels. But go ahead.
Right. Right. So I like to say natural flavors are anything but natural. They are basically an FDA loophole that allows for 30, 40, 100 chemicals to be put into this formula, and they don't have to be identified or labeled, and they can just be called natural flavors. And often these natural flavors come from one of these six or seven big multinational fragrance companies, flavor and fragrance companies that supply the flavors and fragrance for everything from Crust toothpaste to Pine Sol to Tide detergent. It's they all the flavors for everything to that strawberry milkshake that you're getting at McDonald's. They're all coming from these chemical companies where these chemists sit in laboratories and they just tinker around with molecules. So they mimic flavors, but there's not actually real flavors. If it was, say, a real strawberry milkshake and you looked at the label, it would have on the ingredients strawberries. That's how you make a strawberry milkshake, right? It wouldn't have strawberry flavor or natural and artificial flavors. All of those things are alarm bells that should warn you off that those are full of chemicals. And the human body, in many ways, views chemicals like it views parasites. They are foreign invaders, and we did not evolve to figure out how to process them the way that we process food for our nutrients and our nutrition. And so we have to deal with them. And the way that our immune system deals with foreign invaders, like bacteria, like viruses, like mold, is inflammation, right? So I really focus in my world. My clinic is called the Inflammation Academy, and we look at, well, where are these triggers, these sources of inflammation coming from in your body? Because until you get rid of these external sources, you're just going to be taking more and more drugs, and they're going to become less and less um, efficient and I'm missing the word where they're not going to work as well.
No, absolutely. And it's sad that we have things out there called food chemists. Like there should be no chemistry in food. Like food is food. Like what are you doing? But I thought you were going to touch on the other natural flavors, like the kind that comes from vanilla and raspberry flavoring, like nine
Oh, we
times
can
out of
talk
10.
about that too.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's the excretions from a beaver's anal gland. Like, and I still can't wrap my brain around like who looked at that or smelled that or like how did that even come to fruition one day? That would be a good raspberry substitute for raspberry flavoring. Like, that's just disgusting. A lot of times it's ground up bugs, right? Especially for
Right.
cooking. So
Beetles.
like, right? So yeah, I thought you were gonna go that route, but the chemistry route's disgusting too. So both routes are disgusting.
Yes, I think that actually the thing about the anal glands from the beavers, that's actually less offensive to me than the petroleum-based chemicals.
No, 110%, because at least it is natural, right? It is a carbon-based, yeah, absolutely. But it's still just, one of my favorites. So I live in Mexico now, and I've been learning Spanish. One of my favorite Spanish words is guacala, and it means ew, so that is definitely guacala,
That's a great word. I'm going to remember
right?
that word.
Oh my God, I love it so much. Yeah. But yeah, so great. So thank you. Like I never even thought about that stuff like artificial flavoring is causing inflammation because I say all the time, if you are reading a label and you don't recognize the ingredients, neither does your body, right? And it causes leaky gut, but that also, leads to inflammation as well because your body's at war. It's like, what is this? It doesn't belong here.
I can give you one more that you might be surprised about.
Ooh, lay it on me.
Okay, so if you see on a label, and this could be a label for food products or cosmetics or sunscreens or lotions, anything like that, citric acid.
Mm.
So you may think logically, well, citric acid just means it's coming from a lemon, right? Lemon juice is citric and citric acid. Well, that seems very logical. But if it was lemon juice, it would say lemon or lemon juice on the label. And it doesn't, it says citric acid. So commercially, citric acid is sourced from black mold, aspergillus. And if you are sensitive to mold, which many of us are, that citric acid that's in that soda pop, that's in that candy, that's in that ice cream, that's in those pickles, that's in that ketchup, that's in all sorts of products that you would not even suspect that they're putting things in. You're like, oh, wait, to make a pickle that's in vinegar, that's a preservative, right? Why are they adding citric acid as a preservative into something that is pickled? It makes absolutely no sense. But let me tell you, I go on hunts for capers that don't have citric acid in the jar because it is hard to find. And I have to literally buy imported capers, European capers.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. And so we had brought this up before, but talking about that there are certain ingredients in the United States that are banned in other countries, because of just how toxic this stuff is. And so, if you think that our government has got our best intentions, you got to follow the money and you need to start doing some of your own research because a lot of us, especially with the autoimmune world, had to find out the hard way, right? Like, but it's the information's right there. Like you have to barely scratch the surface and it's like, boom, it's right there. It's like, how did I not see this before? Well, because you weren't looking. But once you start looking, like it's right there.
Yes. And one of the best fights that has been won in the last couple decades is that fight for labeling, right? So now we're supposed to be able to, on any type of processed food, that means a food that has more than one ingredient, we're supposed to be able to see exactly what's in there so that we can make an informed decision. Now, there has been a huge fight against labeling genetically modified organisms to put in there, which 100% those should be labeled because you should be able to choose that too. Because we can't, because we don't have a choice, we have literally been made part of the world's largest experiment on humans without our consent, which is not a cool thing. But besides the GMO thing, which there's a little bit of a label, and don't be misled that it looks all nice and sunny and cheery and positive because that was part of the fight. But a lot of things don't have labeling. So pretty much anytime you see high fructose corn syrup, you can assume that is genetically modified, for example. Um, but we can, for the most part, see most ingredients that might be in a food and make our choices accordingly.
Absolutely. And so that's the part that's always bothered me. It's like, what, educate people and then let them make a choice. But unfortunately, I even see, God, it was a TV show a long time ago, a courtroom TV show, but it was kind of a satire on a very obese guy suing a food company because they made the food so addictive, right? And basically saying that, he had no control. And, granted it was a satire, but there was really a lot of truth in it because these food chemists, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to get at things, the smells, the taste, the feel, everything to get you so addicted and then it just wreaks havoc on your health. And what choice? That's not a choice. That's heartbreaking is what that is. And what it's doing to our kids in this younger generation is absolutely criminal.
I couldn't agree more. And there's a reason why you can't just have one Pringle.
Absolutely.
People have made a
Absolutely.
lot of money making that Pringle formula.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. This was a great conversation. I knew it was going to be. So this is the shameless plug time of the show. So where can people find you, learn more about you, work with you?
So you can find out everything about me at elizabethyarnell.com. And I'd love to extend to all of our listeners today, you're welcome to come and take my inflammation quiz and see how much hidden inflammation might be sabotaging your life. And you can do that at inflammationinvestigator.com.
Fantastic. Well, I'll have all that in the show notes. And while you're there, make sure to visit wearenikki.com/podcast. Enter in BioBeats to get 10% off. And because we really love our customers, the way we show appreciation is we give away a Nikki device and a 1-year membership to our wellness store free every month. So make sure to go to the show notes. Good luck, enter. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe, right? That's how we get this information out and change the world one person at a time. And have a healthy day. Bye-bye.
What is the wellness store, you ask? Let me tell you. Imagine a single place where every Nikki Wellness program, present and future, are ready whenever you are. The Nikki Wellness Store turns that vision into reality, offering a membership that keeps you connected to the most complete library of wellness support programs we've ever created. One membership, infinite access. With a Nikki Wellness Store membership, unlimited access to the full Nikki Wellness library, automatic updates as new programs are released, the freedom to create personalized daily playlists on the Nikki Connect app, and we continually design new programs. Your membership will grow with you at no additional cost. Because wellness technology never stops improving, and neither do you. It's more than a membership. Every wellness store membership begins with the purchase of their Nikki Wellness Technology, a wearable device that delivers wellness programs wherever life takes you. Your membership includes 1 full year of unlimited access to the complete wellness library and all future program releases. After the first year, your access continues with a simple annual renewal fee. So your library and collaborations with trusted global innovators keeps growing without interruption. This isn't just an upward, it's a movement toward a future where wellness technology never stops improving, because neither do you. Join the movement. The Nikki Wellness Store isn't just a milestone, it's the future of wellness designed for freedom, value, and constant growth. New customers that join us will automatically get 1 year membership to the Nikki Wellness Store. Current customers that have already owned a Nikki, you will be grandfathered in and given a 2-year membership. And that's a thank you for walking with us for all this time.
There's a new word for wellness, Nikki. Nikki is your personal wellness companion, a sleek wearable device that lets you choose from a variety of programs to match your day. With a simple tap on the Nikki screen, you can explore wellness programs created for different moments and lifestyles. Need a lift? Select energy. Looking to unwind? Tap stress and anxiety. Want to feel more at ease? Choose pain. Heading out on a trip? Try travel to help you feel ready for new adventures. From busy mornings to quiet evenings, Nikki puts a variety of wellness experiences right at your fingertips and on your wrist. Life moves fast. Nikki moves with you. It's a portable way to bring wellness technology into your everyday routine, wherever life takes you. Your day, your choice, your wellness program. Nikki Wellness Technology. Delivering frequency-enhanced health. We are Nikki.com. The views, information, and opinions expressed in this content are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of FreeMedica. FreeMedica Technologies, Inc. and its employees are not responsible, nor verifies accuracy any of the information contained in the following content. The primary purpose of this content is to educate and inform. This content does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.